If I had a problem, I'd be starving. I'd be hawking this watch. I do not have a problem. I enjoy gambling.
You son of a bitch. You better clean them fixes up right now.
I am never cleaning up your fixes again.
Yeah, well, not quite. Yeah, let's stick to football.
We are back, baby! Am I live?
Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm pumped. You guys are doing a hell of a job here at the Round Robin Pod.
Some sort of like welcome to the pod.
Hey, there it is.
No. You got to do something.
Yeah, we need an intro, dude. Fucking welcome to the pod. One of the things I wanted to talk about, basically this whole gig is adapting to new information and like the ability to like change your like adjust your opinion based on new information. And I think the big mistake that I make or anybody makes betting football is trusting what you see on Sunday. Like, oh, this team's good and this team's not good because of how they looked in that particular game. One thing that Belichick's been talking about one thing that was talked about on one of the Belichick shows that kind of proved to me this thing that you and I have talked about before, that like football games are won. Isn't there a saying about like wars are won in like the situation room or something? Like they're not won on the battlefield, something like this. Maybe I just made that up. But Bill Belichick said that he can't even know for sure when he's watching these games what the scheme necessarily is. So like these guys can get tape and they can try and figure it out. But if Belichick's watching on Sunday and he doesn't know 100% what the schemes are that these guys are employing, then we have no shot at that. And I think where the best opportunities are for betting on the teams is to get ahead of like the situation, like motivation and the spot, which like, you know, we've had a couple of good examples on the season of just like, oh, this is a good spot to have this team. Like on Sunday, you liked the Ravens a lot. And they were just up 28-6. Like it was just no doubt. And then yesterday I liked the Commanders a lot. There's just like I think it's just so much more important to be like, because like it's fun to say, oh, this team sucks, or like this guy sucks. Like that's fun and funny. But really, all these guys are hella good. And a lot of the stuff that determines the outcomes and like covering the spreads and winning the games is really more about what they're doing schematically the whole week leading up. Another reason like why I thought you were so sharp on the Josh Allen on Thursdays. And now, obviously, from what we saw yesterday, just Josh Allen every day. Just nobody can stop Josh Allen.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the Bills today.
Yeah.
But one piece of information, this kind of goes to exactly kind of what you're talking about. Playing a lot of poker in casinos and getting to just sit and listen to the people at the poker table talking about football, talking about games, who are 99% are very square.
Right.
Whatever they're betting is very square. Like whatever their logic is exactly what you're saying. It's what they're watching and why they're deciding what they're deciding. So some of the easiest bets I've ever made are just blind. Everyone at the poker table is betting on this team for a reason that doesn't really make sense. It's just what they're watching. So I'm just going to bet the other side. And it's almost always just the right side. And so I was thinking about that a lot this week. And I went back last night, and I went through every game. And I just thought, okay, so what was the like
every game
perception
from all 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what was the public perception going into week one?
Yeah.
Who was everybody high on and who was everybody down on? Then so when those matched up, when there was one team that everyone liked and one team everyone didn't like, same thing week two. after watching week 1, who did everybody love and who did everybody kind of hate. And I went through and I picked, and there was like 21 games where one team was very like a public favorite, and the other team either looked really good, and then the other team looked really bad. And what do you think in those 21 games? If you had just blindly taken the team who
Looked
was
bad
getting
the
like
week before.
it's like a double fade. Like
Right.
you take the team that looked really bad against the
yeah.
team that everyone loves.
Yeah.
Like,
so there was how many
for
total?
example, like coming into week 2, like the Bengals just lost to the Patriots. The Chiefs just beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
That sort of a situation where obviously now the Bengals cover.
Yeah.
So there's 21 games similar like that.
So 21 games against the spread.
Yeah.
Oh, like 17-4.
18-3.
Yeah.
If you just took the points and blindly faded like that double, like week 2 Ravens looked really good against the Chiefs. They almost won. Raiders looked terrible. You just blindly take the Raiders with the point. There's tons of games. And this week there's games that are the same. And I think we need to go back to more of that sort of logic when we're betting these games. Like, what is the perception? Just like what you said. I love how you started this show, because you can't really trust your eyes, because it's not how this stuff works.
It's certainly how the market is created. Is people, so the public watches the games, and then they trust their eyes to say who's good and who's not good leading into the next week, and then the market is created based off of those visuals. And then our job as bettors is to get out in front of the value and say, okay, there's an overreaction. These people overreacted to what they saw. And so we're going to fade that overreaction, and there's value on the other side. The point of what you're saying, like, so NFL public sides are now 17-30-1 against the spread through 3 weeks. So, yeah, but this is very common. I mean, this is what it took me years to figure this out. It really took me being on the house side to really figure this out. Is once when I was taking a bunch of action from a lot of people, and there was like all of those data points of like, look at how all these people bet. All of these people, all of these different bettors are a version of me when I'm a square better, or when I'm betting with a bookie, or when I'm betting with a casino. They're all a little miniature version of me, and I can see myself in all these people. I need to avoid doing what they're all doing, and like align myself with the house as often as possible. And so the best way to do that is, like, a lot of times you're betting on really bad teams, and a lot of times you're taking points. So that doesn't really lead into the first thing I wanted to talk about, but I don't know.
That's okay. I think we just both needed to air that out and vent how we've been watching these games.
Yeah.
And picking games.
Yeah. First thing I want to talk about was the Chiefs. I was really fired up to do this Sunday night, because I didn't know also I didn't know that you bet the Falcons on Sunday night. I was like texting you. I was like texting you.
You're like blowing me up. I was like, shut up. Both those Falcons offensive linemen go down.
I was texting you and like naming our shorts, like, imagine betting on Kirk Cousins against Pat Mahomes. I didn't know you bet the Falcons. I was watching back through the video, and I was like, does that say Falcons plus 3.5 on the board behind him? I was like, oh my God. Yeah. So the Kansas City Chiefs are 9-0 in their last 9 games, including the playoffs, and they have won by a combined total of 54 points. It's the smallest combined margin of victory by any team in NFL history during a 9-0 stretch. So unprecedented in many ways, but like really, really absurd. The trend that you mentioned in a previous pod too. Mahomes covers if it's 2.5, pushes when it's 3, and doesn't cover, but still somehow gets the ball and wins the game if it's more than 3. So, like, he's Michael Jordan. People that are anti-LeBron and pro-Jordan, their argument is Jordan's a killer and like always just like wins. Like he just wins the game and like wants the ball late and all that stuff. And that's like what Mahomes is. Like I honestly, dude, he's not even playing that good this year. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's thrown like that pick he threw in the end zone was a bad throw. I was like, dude, what's like what's wrong with him? And they just win. So here's what I see. Like the Chiefs are just gonna win football games. But like here's what I see. I know we just said we can't trust our eyes, but this is what I see when I watch the Chiefs. I see a below average offensive line, a way below average group of running backs. Now that Pacheco's out. I mean, their starting running back is Carson Steele last week. He's an undrafted rookie. Undrafted rookie? Did you see that his sister scheduled her wedding and he was a groomsman on a Sunday afternoon? They're like, yeah, don't worry, you're not gonna be playing on Sundays. Literally, dude, yeah, he missed his sister's wedding on Sunday. Like, hey, sorry, I gotta play Sunday.
Hey, the Chiefs want me.
Yeah, he's like literally no one that knew him thought he was going to be the starting running back for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, that's actually awesome. I love that story.
It's an amazing story, but the point, like they're not like an awesome football team. They have an average receiver core now. Like I think Rishi Rice is good, but Kelsey's not into like Kelsey shape yet. Or he's washed. I don't know. I can't tell which but one of those is true. Like he's working his way back into Kelsey shape, or he's like completely washed. I mean, dude, he dropped a first down again. Like I was like, dude, what was that? So, and then I think they have a really good coach, an above average, like really great play caller in Andy Reid, but they've won 3 Super Bowls in the last 5 years, right? So he can't like week in and week out, they have more tape on Andy Reid than like almost anybody in the whole league. Like he's not going to be like busting out new stuff every Sunday. Like when they go to Atlanta, he's like has to save stuff for the play. Like they shouldn't be winning all these games, and they just win. Like they just win football games. And you know, I don't think the Falcons are very good, and I think their coaching's really bad. Like, you know, why are you paying Kirk Cousins $45 million a year and then running the ball in 4th and 1? Like what are you guys doing? Like what are you guys doing? So, but I don't know. I'm just really amazed by Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs that, you know, they're my handicap on them coming into the year is they're better than last year, and I still think that. I think that they're with their receiving core being better than last year, they're going to like continue winning football games. Even like, you know, they won 11 games last year with a really, really, I think, below average football team and Pat Mahomes. And this year, I think they have like a pretty average football team and Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. Yeah, they almost play to me, the Chiefs play a style where as long as they're still in the game in the 4th quarter, they're just going to win, and they're going to not make mistakes. They're going to force mistakes from their opponent, because all these interceptions and bad plays Mahomes is making, they're never in the 4th quarter. They're never in the red zone in the 4th quarter. They're usually in this like first half, and they don't result in a touchdown. They're like from their own 35 throwing to midfield or beyond. And they're usually not in the red zone. This one, he threw one this weekend, right? This week. But those usually aren't the plays he's making, but he's definitely never making them in the 4th quarter. They're just always, as long as they're in the game at the end, and somehow they just never blow anybody out, right? They're just always like playing this style where it's like, okay, as long as like the game's close in the 4th quarter, we're probably going to win. So I don't know. It seems it's like an anomaly, like how every game kind of goes the exact same way. and then they win at the end,
Yeah,
or they
it's
get a
interesting.
stop at the end, or they score at the end. Either way, they're just winning games. To me, that's just really good coaching. It's like, all right, when the game's on the line, I trust my defense, I trust my offense. Let's just not lose the game in the first 3 quarters.
I like what you said about it being an anomaly, and I also think it's interesting because we're talking about how, okay, when it comes to betting sports, you can't trust what you see. But with them, there may be the exception. You can kind of trust what you see with them. Like Mahomes is going to be really good. They're going to be in the game and they'll probably win at the end.
It's the same way the Patriots kind of played, except
Yes.
the one team where they blew everybody out and lost in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But every other year,
When they finally had like way above
yeah.
average offensive talent around Brady. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. So the three best teams in the NFL after week 3 are the Chiefs, we just talked about, and then the Vikings and the Steelers.
Buffalo.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Buffalo. I wrote this before last night's game. You're right. And I also
To
had
me, Buffalo is the best team right now. They look better than any team. Offense, defense. The Bills are, to me, the best team in football right now.
I think the Chiefs have beat better teams. They obviously haven't done it as convincingly, but they've beaten much better football teams. Like the Jaguars, the Dolphins, and the
everyone liked the Dolphins. A lot of people liked the Dolphins coming into the season. Now he was in Miami.
Yeah,
Jaguars.
That's true.
Jaguars.
That's true. I've changed my. I've downgraded the Dolphins so much now that's not really a fair thing. Yeah. I mean,
and Arizona is not bad. They beat Arizona. But
yeah,
the Bills just are
Arizona's
scoring
good.
like every time they get the ball.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, I think, has 8 touchdowns, 0 turnovers.
Yeah, if he's not going to turn the ball over and he's going to run like that, it's really nasty. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's what has always been the knock on him, has been the turnovers, and he's not turning the ball over. It reminds me, you know what this team is reminding me of? It's reminding me of when the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, and everyone was wondering, well, what are they going to do without Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill's their best playmaker, and are the Chiefs going to be okay? Is Mahomes still going to be good? And that's not to the same extent because Tyreek Hill was like the best wide receiver. But when they traded Diggs, everyone was going, they have nobody. There's who is he going to throw the ball to? And like, I think yesterday they had like 5 guys catch touchdown passes.
Did you see what Josh Allen said after the game?
Yeah, like it's nice having guys who don't care about touchdowns and stats.
He told reporters when guys get to buy into this and really understand, like, I may not get the ball 4 or 5 times thrown to me a game, but the 1 or 2 times I do, I'm going to have opportunities to be in the end zone. It's a fun and wonderful thing when you have a bunch of guys that don't care about the stats. They don't care about the touchdowns. I mean, who's he talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I really like this. Is the first time I've ever really liked the Bills to win, like go deep in the playoffs. Every other time, I never really believed in them. I always thought the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Bengals or the Niners. But this year, I mean, it's early, but I've never seen Josh Allen play this well. This looks like he's like, to me, the clear MVP after 3 weeks. Like, not even close. No one's touching him.
Well, that's a good transition. Do you know who is like the 5th or 6th highest at MVP voting at 25-1?
Who's the 5th like longest odds?
No, like shortest odds. 25.
Yeah, shortest.
Yeah.
Quarterback?
Yep.
5th highest. It's somebody who was was shorter odds than that, and now he's 25-1.
No other way.
Okay, wow, he was a long shot. And now
he's our next best team. Sam Darnold is now 25-1 to win the MVP.
Wow.
Did you know?
What's Josh Allen?
I don't know. I have to pull it up. I just happen to know he's 25-1 because it's just hilarious that he's 25-1. I mean, did you know that he's younger than Joe Burrow?
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so I went and pulled this up. So Sam Darnold has thrown 8 touchdowns, and apparently the Vikings have the best coaches in the NFL. So
Yeah.
this is what I went and dug up. So I think I'm buying in on the Vikings team, and not just because they've looked so good, but okay, last year they lost 3 coin flips to start the season. And so they started 0-3. Then they won 4 out of their next 5, including beating the 49ers. And their only loss was to Kansas City. And then Cousins gets hurt and their season's over. So O'Connell's been there since 22. Flores is now in his second season. And we saw Purdy after the game give Flores like crazy. Like he's basically known as like the defensive scheme. Him and McDonald, the Seahawks coach, are known as like the two best defensive scheme guys. And then Darnold was like a number one or a top 3 overall pick. He's always had the arm talent, and he was just like rotting to death on the Jets. So Sam Darnold's coaches before getting with Shanahan and then now in Minnesota, Adam Gase, Robert Saleh, and Matt Rule.
Brutal.
Well, so like, and he's younger than Burrow. So like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, and by the way, their first round draft pick, JJ McCarthy, is not playing, and their third round draft pick died this summer. Like the Vikings, like it's like their coaches. This I don't know. I'm not I'm obviously not saying Sam Darnold's going to win the MVP, and I'm definitely not picking them to like. I'm still taking the Packers to win that division. That was my honorable mention, like best team. Like, dude, them just winning both. I mean, their only loss is that weird Mud Bowl game where their quarterback gets hurt, and then they win the next 2 with Malik Willis. Really, really, really awesome.
Excellent coaching has to be. LaFleur has to be like a top 5 easy.
Yeah.
Just
well, and that was
like
part
that.
of what we said coming into the season too, right? Was like, hey, they're gonna have a number 1 offense. We really like their coaching, blah, 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 blah. And then they upgraded their defensive coaching so much. And but the next thing I have is, are the 49ers in trouble? Like are you downgrading them or not, basically?
Yeah, I mean, they have so many injuries. Who got hurt?
Yeah, they lost Hargrave.
Yeah, Hargrave
for the season.
Right?
Yeah,
he's out for the season. That's a big loss. Kittle's hurt. Debo's hurt. Debo's always hurt.
Yeah, but forget the injuries. Like, are you worried about the 49ers? Like, are they not a playoff team?
Well, I think the problem is that the divisions, with the Seahawks being really good, the Seahawks could win 11 or 12 games, and it's going to be really hard to get back in contention for that division if they lose any more games in these next couple of weeks. Man, you know what though? I really liked Purdy this week. He looked so good, and with everybody out, I was really, really impressed. And it just made, and they dominated that game, the entire game. And everything went right for the Rams, and everything went wrong for the Niners in just like a 6-minute span. There's no way they should have lost that game. I think, to me, if all those guys get back, I think they're going to be, I mean, Hargrave's out, but if they get all their weapons back, I think they're going to be really scary. Like, because what I saw from Purdy, and he looks, I'm more bought in on Purdy than I was before.
So so this was what I have for them is like, I think that result is like the second most bogus result on the season so far. The first being our Raiders in Baltimore. I think both of those games, like, were just really weird, should have finished like 10, like very differently. And that they lead to like mistakes and valuation of the team. I thought Purdy looked really good both the last 2 weeks. I think the 49ers are still really good. And I think the narrative on them now is like, oh, it's the post loss in the Super Bowl, whatever. And then I think also the Rams are going to be overrated coming off of that win, even though, like, I think it was just a totally bogus win where you have a really good situational coach and a really good quarterback. We're like, oh, wait a second, we're back in this game. Like, let's go steal this victory. As opposed to like the Rams are good and the 49ers are not good. I'm still picking the 49ers to win that division. And I think the Seahawks have had the easiest schedule in the league so far. I think
for sure.
They
have had an easy schedule.
Yeah. But
Purdy against 3 bad teams.
Like you said, Purdy looking good without the weapons to me is way more like interesting about their prospects and their future than them losing to the Rams like in a weird like late game.
Yeah.
And that the next thing that like it really did remind me of the Raiders game in Baltimore where I was like, wait, what just happened? And then I was like, all right, well, maybe the Raiders are good. But dude, I'm not saying he's never going to be a good coach because I want to like him, but dude, the Raiders losing to the Panthers is so brutal. And then like coming out, did you see his press conference? I sent you the clip. Like, what's he doing?
That the team just didn't seem to show up tonight.
No, they didn't. I think as the game went on, I don't think it was a team. I think there was definitely some individuals that made business decisions, and will make business decisions going forward as well.
Like, what's he doing? Like, dude, you guys are down by 30. What do you mean making business decisions? Like, you didn't have your guys ready to play Andy Dalton and the Panthers. You guys were getting blown out. Of course, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
really bummed me out, dude. It's like, dude, you fucking punted on 4th and 1 when the game was tied in fucking LA, and now you're talking about guys making business decisions when you're down 30 at home against the Panthers. Like, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, he's kind of a ding dong.
Yeah.
It's not good. It doesn't look good. I still think that like the Raiders are a team where until they get to a point where the season's over, like at 1-2, the season's not over.
Right.
Well, at 1-5, the season's over. At 1-2 or whatever, I think they're a team where you were right on this last week.
Yeah.
And the market scared you off of your opinion, but you were right because the market ended up coming back right at kickoff.
I know.
And they hammered the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
But when you wanted to bet Panthers -5, it got bet back to 6.5. And you're like, whoa, so someone's taking the Raiders. I think the Raiders are a team where you can never bet them as a dog. I mean, as a favorite, you can never lay points. And they're just like this huge roller coaster of emotion. Yes. And you fade them when they look good, and you buy when they're low, and they'll come out and play really hard as an underdog. But yeah, that was a very disappointing game to say.
Yeah, I mean, it was part of the conversation that we had last week was like, I thought it was going to be a really bad spot for the Raiders because I thought the Panthers upgrade huge off of Bryce Young to Andy Dalton, and he ended up he's the only player this whole season to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns so far. But anyway, but like what you said is exactly what I was thinking. They are a roller coaster of emotions because that's who Antonio Pierce is, and that's like what this team is. They've like become this like players coaches team where Max Crosby's like, hey, that's our coach, you gotta hire him, and then they hire him. And then I said to you last week when you picked them, I was like, dude, I think they're still at the win, like partying off of a week 2 victory. And like that's what they played like. They played like they forgot they had more games this year after they beat the Ravens. So
there's just certain teams, and they're one that they don't know how to win and then win again. They know how to win, and then they're like, whoa, like Let's
They're
be excited.
Yes. So
and when
it's
they
funny.
lose and everyone's like, "You guys suck," they're like, "What? Like, we're gonna play so hard this
They're a
week."
bunch of talented guys. It's funny too because the 49ers and the Raiders lead right into each other for me because I'm interested in finally playing the Bears and fading the Rams next week. And and then I'm interested in finally playing the Raiders and
against the Browns.
Yeah,
this is the perfect spot.
I get to bet against the Browns again, dude. Hey, nothing makes me happier than betting against the Browns.
And being right every time so far, pretty much. Like every time we've bet against them,
it's right. The best, dude.
They stink. What?
Hey,
and to me, like the only team worse than the Raiders right now is the Browns. And they're pick 'em, and they're at home, and it's
the fucked up thing about the Raiders losing to the Panthers.
There's not a single team I would bet against. I would bet the Raiders against this week after that than the Browns. It's the perfect.
The fucked up thing about the Raiders losing to the Panthers is that they're a much better football team than the Panthers. It was just a really bad spot. So,
well, Watson's not going to be there long, so we might not have a lot of time for that.
We're
going to have to pump this channel fast.
My preseason prediction for the Cleveland Browns was Stefanski fired. Yes, I said 3-14.
Yeah.
Stefanski fired. Vrabel gets the head coaching job, and Watson gets cut, and they eat the dead cap hit. And then, so if that's true, then like Vrabel will be building a new culture starting next season. So yeah, this is, and we'll probably
be fun to root for without Watson and add Vrabel.
Oh, dude,
we like that.
Yeah. Watson great. Gone, Vrabel in. I'm a Browns fan at that point. That's what I was saying at the start of the pod about like adjusting and adapting to new information. Like this is the whole gig. So
yep.
Okay, thanks for watching. That's it for the pod. We'll be back tomorrow, handicapping week 4 and looking ahead to week 4, and then we'll be back either Friday or Saturday picking the games for Circa. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.